You so much for joining us here today. It is a crazy time. We've got Trump talking to the New York Times now about the fact that he's not ruling out troops on the ground. But I just want to start off with your general thoughts about this conflict thus far. We've seen a lot of attacks in a lot of places. It hasn't stopped. Do you think that the U.S. expected this?
No. I think the U.S. expected that once decapitation of, or I'll put decapitation in quotes, of Iranian leadership occurred and followed by attacks against the security apparatus of Iran, that we would have seen a collapse of the regime and people apparently going out in the streets and taking matters into their own hands. This is what the president urged. This is what Pete Hegseth has urged. Lindsey Graham has urged. And it just shows an absolute disconnect from reality. You kill the supreme leader of Iran. You kill one of the most revered religious figures in the Islamic world. One of the top religious figures in the world. This is the equivalent of killing the Pope, of killing the Archbishop of Canterbury, of killing Kirill, the head of the Russian Orthodox Church. And you're killing a man who sits at the head of not just an Islamic republic where vilayat-i-faqih, or the supreme jurisprudence, is a thing, meaning this man is the conduit to God. You just killed the conduit to God. But also a faith. The Twelver branch of the Shia faith, is premised on the notion of the martyrdom of Hussein at the Battle of Karbala. And so you just martyred the most revered religious figure in a religion that reveres martyrdom. What do you think is going to happen? The collapse or the gelling, the coming together of the nation? And that's what's happened now. The Iranian people are more united now than ever before. They are committed to the defense of Iran. You're not going to scare them. You're not going to intimidate them. You're not going to bomb them into submission. Moreover, the Iranians were prepared for this, not in terms of protection of the leadership, although it appears that Ali Khamenei willingly went to his baker. He was at home in a tragically pre-scheduled meeting with his granddaughter, 14-month-old girl who was killed. But the rest of the government, the military, do you really think that the buildings we're bombing, buildings that have been developed as targets over the course of the past weeks and months, still contain anything of relevance? Because if you do, you're a fool, and you should go work for Pete Hegseth. All of these buildings are empty. All of the factories are emptied. All of the important equipment in the factories are hidden in hide sites. As I was told by the Iraqis back when we were bombing them, they said, Mr. Ritter, Mr. Scott, you're very good at blowing up buildings, and we're very good at pouring concrete. But when you blow up the buildings, they're empty. And after we finish pouring the concrete, they're full of the things that we need them to be full of. And we can play this game forever. And that's what's happening. We're expending munitions, blowing up buildings. That's it. We're killing a handful of people. Tragically, we're killing a lot of innocent civilians. I think over 500 so far have died, including over 100 children, girls between the age of 6 and 12 who were killed in a school, struck because our intelligence sucks. But the fact of the matter is the Iranians have responded in a pre-planned manner, which exceeds anything we anticipated. I think people were thinking that the Iranians would behave in an escalatory manner, and that if we struck hard enough, we could preempt them getting to the really good stuff, and this war would come to an end. Instead, the Iranians came out swinging, and they're hitting not only with devastating effect, but they're hitting the totality of America's military infrastructure in the Middle East. Every base has been hit, and by the time this is finished, every base will have been destroyed. But it's not just the bases. The Iranians are showing that they have inside information about how the CIA operates, striking a hotel in Dubai, killing, by some reports, 6 senior CIA officers, striking a hotel in Bahrain, wounding Department of Defense personnel that are there. They aren't bombing civilian targets. They're bombing command and control targets, legitimate targets. They're hitting targets that show insider information. For instance, when they strike a warehouse in a port facility in Qatar, that warehouse just happened to be the one that signed the contract last week with the Department of Defense to hold military equipment. Boom, dead. They're sinking ships, striking ships. Now, they're paying a price. There's no doubt about it. I mean, this is a war being waged by two of the most sophisticated militaries in the world, Israel and the United States. And we are destroying things in Iran. But we're not destroying that which we think we're destroying. We're not getting the effect which we think we're getting. And all we're doing is expending ammunition that we don't have. And at some point in time, we are going to run out of ammunition. And the Iranians are not going to run out of missiles. And when that happens, we lost the war. We lost the war actually on the first 6 missiles that hit Iran, because those missiles hit Ali Khamenei. That was supposed to trigger regime collapse. Instead, it triggered the rise of the Islamic Republic. I don't wish my country harm. I don't wish any harm to American service members, but our president is a damn fool, and he has taken us down the path of defeat. And unfortunately, the United States is going to lose this war, and because it's an illegal war of aggression, perhaps it's one that we should lose. I'm just hopeful that we can bring this thing to an end with minimal loss of life, maximal penalty. I mean, I think by the time this is done, by the end of the week or so, the United States will have suffered over $100 billion worth of infrastructure damage. And that's a good thing, because by destroying the American military infrastructure in the Middle East, we ensure that America won't come back. And by demonstrating to the Gulf Arab states that America cannot provide a security shield, that we are a toothless paper tiger when it comes to actually defending people, they're going to be looking elsewhere for their security. And what that means is they're going to be seeking peace with Iran, not war with Iran.
What do you make of the story that 3 F-15Es fighter jets were shot out of the sky on the Kuwait-Iraqi border today by, I guess, our own defenses, Arab air defenses? I mean, they said it was friendly fire, but at the same time, actually before the U.S. CENTCOM announcement that it was friendly fire, we had the Iranian state TV come out and announce that they were the ones that took these planes out of the sky.
Well, we'll find out. I mean, eventually, but it doesn't matter. 3 F-15Es are down. Either the Iranians have the ability to reach out and touch, which frankly I doubt, because if you're operating that close to Kuwait, these are areas where we should have taken control. There should be no Iranian presence worthy of the name. Literally, there can't be. We literally have to be patrolling these areas, and that's what the F-15Es were doing. These are strike aircraft in a combat air patrol, waiting for the Iranians to make a move, and then they come in and they'll bomb it. But while they're in their holding pattern, the Iranians are launching attacks against Kuwait, and the Kuwaiti air defenses panic, and they aren't coordinating effectively, and they go into free fire mode, supposedly to shoot down drones and missiles, forgetting that there's American aircraft in the air, and they shot them down as well. That's what happened. The Kuwaitis just panicked. There wasn't effective coordination, and down goes Frazier. So there it was.
There's reports that 4 U.S. soldiers have died. You've mentioned, of course, the Department of Defense contractors or employees, whatever it was, and the CIA story as well in Dubai. Trump has hinted at the fact that this number actually is higher. He said as much. How high do you think this goes? And do you think that they're hiding it simply because Americans aren't going to support that? They already don't support this. 23% supported this from the get-go. I don't know how it could go much lower.
Well, you can't hide. I mean, legally, you can't hide these casualties unless they belong to forces engaged in a classified operation or forces that are classified by their very nature. For instance, if Delta Force was on the ground in Iran and a Delta Force troop got ambushed and 16 Delta troopers died, there's no obligation to talk about this at all. If Task Force 160 flies in to rescue him and the helicopter goes down, we don't have to talk about it at all. But if Billy Joe Bob and Sally Schmucker, National Guardsmen on duty get killed because a missile or a drone hits their place, you can't hide that fact. Legally, you'd be huge problems by hiding that fact because they're not involved in classified operations. And so we can phase this, but if there's more dead, I would imagine it's still going to be a very small number as opposed to a very large number. We have a duty and responsibility, and the military, remember, the military isn't Donald Trump. They're honorable people who understand what service means and what sacrifice is, unlike the president. And the families will be notified. They're just a duty and responsibility to do that. So I don't think, the reports of hundreds of American dead, I don't buy it. There could be dozens of American wounded. We don't have to report those numbers right off the bat, but a deceased member does have to be reported. So I think, there may be others that the circumstances of death haven't been quite figured out yet, or the bodies haven't been recovered. That's a possibility too. And so those numbers haven't been reported. But, I just can't believe that the United States military, men and women who took an oath and are honorable people, would disguise the deaths of their fellow service members. I mean, that is a disgraceful act, and I don't buy into it. I believe our president is fully capable of disgraceful acts, but I don't believe that the men and women in uniform, uniformly are. Yes, there are bad eggs here and there, but the people that do casualty handling are honorable people who take their job seriously, and they're not going to lie to a family or deny family the right to know what happened to their son or daughter.
Mm-hmm. When you look at the Iranian response, you said that, this goes way beyond what the U.S. could have imagined. Even Trump said that today. He said that we didn't expect them to hit the U.S. bases, which I don't even understand, because in his opening speech, he said that they expect that there's going to be U.S. casualties. So, but how could Iran possibly escalate the situation further? I mean, today we saw Saudi Aramco, I think like one of, if not the biggest refineries, was hit. We saw Qatar has shut down their production and export. Is there something I'm missing? It seems like they kind of went with some of the most nuclear options to start things off after the U.S. started off with the ultimate nuclear option.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, this is an existential war of survival for the Iranians. I guess that's repetitive, because if it's existential, is by definition a war of survival. So forgive my improper use of the English language. But the Iranians, yes, for instance, the Strait of Hormuz has been shut for the first time. Iran has threatened to do this in the past. This time they did it. But, that's a simple on-off switch, meaning that the moment the Iranians want traffic to go through, they just hit the on switch and here you go. If they want to shut it down, they hit the off switch. What they're demonstrating is they could do this at will. If you remember the Fifth Fleet in Bahrain, which Muharraq base doesn't exist anymore, but hey, too bad to be you. But the Fifth Fleet was saying, we can keep the Strait of Hormuz open anytime. They try to shut it. We're coming in like grease lightning. Well, that's been proven to be a lie. You can't. The Iranians have shut it down. There's not a damn thing you The other strikes, though, for instance, the Aramco strike, when you look at the satellite imagery, it did damage, but it did limited damage, and it didn't hit critical places. The Iranians have shown that they have the ability to be pinpoint in their accuracy. I mean, when you fly a drone into the room where the CIA guys are, you're pretty damn good. And what they hit were targets that would burn, but not targets that would destroy. Targets that could be contained. And so they sent a message to Saudi Arabia. We will take it all down. Every single thing. We will take it down because you can't stop us. There's nothing you can do to stop us. And it's up to you to tell the United States, don't touch our energy infrastructure. And it's probably up to you to encourage the United States to stop this war. But even if you don't want to stop this war, if they touch our energy infrastructure, you're dead. Everything will go down. We just proved to you we can hit your most sensitive facility, and there wasn't a damn thing you could do about it. It's the same thing with Qatar. They were put on notice. Qatar makes money off the sale of gas. That's it. Giant gas station, liquid gas station. And Iran sent the signal, we can shut it all down. We can kill everything. And so out of safety and precaution, the Qataris shut it down. But now they have to be careful because they were the ones pounding the desk, declaring that, we're going to strike back. We're going to fire. And they're shutting up because they understand the consequences of having a big mouth when you're I have to be careful because I'm very angry at the Gulf Arab states, very angry at them. They have betrayed everything. But now they're paying the price, and I have no sympathy for them whatsoever. Qatar just has to shut up and basically tell the United States, leave Al Udeid. You're never coming back. You're not welcome here. And that's what all the Gulf Arab states have to tell the United States in order for this conflict to end. You're not welcome here anymore. Iran must purge the cancer that is America from the Persian Gulf. That has to be a condition of peace, because if you don't, that cancer will continue to create the conditions for future conflict with Iran. That's all they exist for, is conflict with Iran. So if you want peace in the Middle East, Iran resides there. They're not leaving. It's the foreigners that are there. America. They have to go. We have to go. And I think that's what Iran is seeking to do, to basically destroy the infrastructure. Because imagine now, let's say the war ends and the president's going to tell Congress, hey, by the way, I need $150, $200 billion to rebuild the infrastructure that Iran just destroyed. Oh, yeah. And if they want to destroy it again, there's nothing we can do to stop them because, gosh, they got missiles that can hit anything and everything. So we're done in the Middle East. I believe that this is the death knell of America's presence in the Middle East. And when we withdraw from the Middle East, understand what that does to Israel, because Israel will no longer have the American shield. So Israel will also have to curtail its greater Israel ambitions. And it also sends a signal to the Gulf Arab states. It's time for you to stop kneeling before America and Israel. It's time for you to stand up on your own 2 feet and assert actual sovereignty. You will thrive by having Iran. You will die by having war with Iran. And that's the other signal that's been sent here. For all the money that these Gulf Arab states have poured into their defenses, buying America's money, making American defense industry rich, it doesn't mean anything, because they got nothing to stop the Iranians. Nothing. Ask United Arab Emirates, $2 billion they spent on air defense. And I think in 2 days, they're going to be out. They got nothing. They'll be done. And at that point in time, they're fair game. They can't defend themselves, and Iran can level everything. Everything. And you're going to start to see the United Arab Emirates saying, yeah, America, why don't you move over there? And don't come back here. We're not doing this anymore, because America can't defend them. America simply cannot defend them. Oh, and that last thing, boots on the ground. You're talking to a guy that actually participated in the largest boots on the ground operation in modern history, Operation Desert Storm. It took us months to flow in these troops, and we flew them in a permissive environment, meaning we were landing at airports that were not being shelled or shut down. We were docking at ports that were not being attacked. We aren't going to get any troops. We're not going to get any significant boots on the ground. It would require a assault from the sea to seize either Chabahar or Bandar Abbas. You're also talking to a guy that actually planned assault from the seas to seize Chabahar and Bandar Abbas back when that was one of the things that we were training to do in the mid-1980s through the Rapid Deployment Force. We don't have the resources to do it. So Donald Trump is just blowing smoke at you. He's lying through his teeth. We simply can't. In order to do this, we would have to delay this war by, 9 months at a minimum. And we've already engaged. The Iranians aren't stopping. Even if we pull back and stop bombing them, they will continue to strike until everything is destroyed. There will be no compromise. This is an existential war of survival. Only one winner emerges from this.
What about the talk of special forces? I know they're probably maybe Azerbaijan or Turkmenistan. I mean, is there any factor they could play in this?
On the side of the United States?
Yes.
Well, I mean,
it sounds crazy, but the terrain, yes, everything sounds, but like they were talking about this as a very serious thing in the New York Times weeks before this all went down.
No, I'm not. Look, in 2005, I went to Fort Leavenworth, the School of Advanced Military Studies, where I was a guest speaker. And when I went into the room where the majors were doing their exercise, you always have to pay attention to what they're doing, because even though normally they have theoretical exercise, but every once in a while when you're actually doing real world prep, they start looking. In 2005 is when Dick Cheney was talking about going to war against Iran. And what they were doing there was talking about the projection force into Azerbaijan. And then, according to their scenario, they were attacked from Iran, and then they counterattacked down the Caspian Sea coast to threaten Tehran. And that was the plan that was being put forward. So we have been looking at projecting power from Azerbaijan for some time now. Turkmenistan surprises me, but you never know. Especially since Turkmenistan and Iran have ostensibly good relations. But Azerbaijan's different. They have the largest Mossad base, the largest CIA station on Azeri soil. And, I would imagine that American Special Operations Forces have been training with their Azeri counterparts, and there could be the prospects of joint. But Azerbaijan needs to understand that the moment put on the ground by the Iranians, they lose everything. Right now, they're not being attacked. They will be attacked. And so I'm doubtful of that. Plus, unless you've trained with the other side extensively, what are you going to do? What are you going to accomplish? Americans do best by themselves. Special operations forces as opposed to special forces. Special forces could be working with the Azeris. They're embedded. They specialize in this. Maybe a limited scope operation to try and project power into the Azeri population of northern Iran. Special operations forces like Delta Force and others, they'll operate by themselves, primarily in a missile hunting road, similar to what they did during Operation Desert Storm, where 2 squadrons of Delta Force were deployed into western Iraq, along with 2.5 squadrons of British SAS. I could imagine scenarios where they are involved on the ground trying to hunt down Iran's missiles, especially the longer this war goes on. I mean, this could be what Donald Trump was speaking about when he said boots on the ground, because there may have been a hesitancy to get American Special Operations Forces committed to the ground because of the risk. It's a very risky operation. And if you believe the enemy is going to collapse, there's no reason to maximize risk. But now, just like with the Gulf War, where General Schwarzkopf rejected the deployment of Delta Force early on, he was forced to allow them in around February 6th because we weren't killing Iraqi Scuds, and it became a very politicized problem that if we couldn't kill them, Israel would intervene, and that would be the end of the coalition. Here we have a situation where we're not killing Iranian missiles. They're continuing to launch, and we need to shut them down or we lose our Gulf Arab allies, and Israel becomes desperate. And so what Donald Trump probably is speaking about is the introduction of special operations forces on the ground in Iran to do missile hunting. I hope they don't go in, because I'll just give them a little lesson from history. They know, but the American people don't. Every Delta Force insertion was compromised at the moment of insertion, and every team ended up running for their lives. The idea that Delta Force was in there doing really sexy stuff and blowing shit up and all this kind of stuff just wasn't true. They were running for their lives the entire time. They never rested until the war ended. That's just a statement of fact. And the same thing with the British SAS. I mean, by the end of the first week and a half, the headquarters of SAS thought that they had lost skies because they were all running. They had been compromised. They were running for their lives. Many of them were captured. Many of them were killed. This is the reality of operating on the ground in enemy territory. And the Iranians are nobody's fools. You may think it's wide open desert, but that's the other lesson that Delta Force learned is it ain't. There's nothing wide open about it. You land and there's the goat herder with his goats staring you straight in the eye, or there's the Bedouin running around, looking for water, staring you right in the eyes. And this will happen if you go into Iran. They will stare you in the eyes. Now you're in a big country, and the Iranians are pretty damn good, and they're going to kill you all. So my advice to Mr. President and to the commander of Joint Special Operations, don't do it. You've already lost this war. You're not going to win this war. And putting special operations forces on the ground just ensures that they're going to die in addition to what other casualties are going to there. They're not that good. I mean, they're good, but they're not immortal. A bullet kills them just like it kills anybody else. They operate by stealth. They operate by audacity. They operate by speed. But when you're on the ground, behind enemy lines, it doesn't matter if you have a Pinzgauer or whatever the hell vehicle they have now. They will run you down and they will kill you. And they will shoot down your helicopters and they will shoot down your airplanes. Don't do it.
When we look at the air defenses in the UAE and Qatar, you mentioned they're running out. We saw a report from Bloomberg stating that in Qatar, maybe they've got 4 days if the current pace continues, and the UAE about a week. Who knows if those numbers are correct? I would have no idea, but Bloomberg wrote it. How easy is it for the U.S. to deploy more of these air defense assets? To me, if I was a U.S. troop, I'd be concerned because it seemed like we had the buildup of all these, different systems for months on end to all these bases, and then you're telling me they just start running out like that? It seems crazy.
Well, first of all, the system out aren't American systems. They're systems purchased by Qatar, purchased by the UAE. So they're indigenous to them. They're American systems, but they've been purchased. Then when they purchase the launcher, they purchase X amount of interceptors. Nobody ever envisioned this kind of complete. When you purchase interceptors, when they were purchased, they were thinking Gulf War. During the entire time of the Gulf War, Iraq fired 49 Scud missiles into Israel, 49 during the entire time. And that caused panic in Israel. Here we have the Iranians firing 1,000 missiles a day. In addition to that, drones by the hundreds. And so you spend $2 billion buying interceptor missiles, thinking you're going to fight a war where the enemy is going to come at you with a handful of missiles every day. Instead, you find yourself swamped and you just are blowing through your missiles. And, I don't know what mode the Qataris or the Emirati military is on, but, they were trained on full automatic mode, which means they're cycling through their interceptors at an unbelievable rate. They could be expending 6 or 8 per missile coming in. They have to put it on manual mode, but that slows things down and you're not as accurate. But the bottom line is these guys are just blowing through munitions that were supposed to last them for months of sustained combat, and they're blowing through it in days. And there's nothing to replace them because, the United States has been flowing missiles into Ukraine. We've been telling the Europeans to deplete their stockpiles and we will replace them. But in the process, we have to replace ours that have replaced theirs, and we have a negative deficit. So whatever missiles are being built right now are being built for the United States, and we're already in the hole. And we've deployed forward, THAAD and some Patriots and all this. And they're deployed there, but they have a finite amount of interceptors, and there aren't any out there left except in the Pacific. And this is where it gets interesting because Donald Trump, if you notice, he said initially, we're going to be fighting for a matter of days. Now he said, it's probably a couple weeks, and don't worry, we have ammunition. We have ammunition. Our ammunition is all over the world. And I can guarantee you that the commander of Pacific Force was going, time out, Mr. President. Over here, look at me. You remember when you told me to prepare for a potential conflict with China over Taiwan? And I told you I need X, Y, and Z to do this. And we started stockpiling. We're not there yet, Mr. President. We're at 70% of what we need. And now you're saying that you're going to take that away to do this insanity in the Middle East. No, Mr. President, you're not. And if you do, I'm resigning because it's irresponsible. You can't create aggression against China, get the Chinese to start posturing against us, and then strip away anything that we have to defend ourselves, let alone engage in offensive operations. The president is high. What's happened is he was told by his military, we don't have the munitions to carry out this campaign as designed. They fired the director of the Joint Staff because he had the temerity to say, sorry, boss, we can't do it. They fired him. And everybody else said, yeah, we got enough ammo, but only if the Iranians do what we want them to do, collapse on day one, surrender, etc. But my God, if they fight and they fire missiles and all this, we don't have it. So now what's happened is Pete Hegseth has come back so he doesn't get fired. And he says, we got the ammo, Mr. President. We didn't lie to you. We got the ammo. It's just not here. It's over there. And we got to bring it from over there to here. Which is going to be an interesting exercise because how do you resupply units in Jordan when the airfields are being attacked? This president is an embarrassment. Pete Hegseth is an embarrassment. And frankly speaking, everybody on the Joint Chiefs of Staff who wasn't fired or didn't resign is an embarrassment because we're going to lose this war. We are going to lose this war. We can't win this war. We don't have the ability to win this war. We don't have the resources to win this war as defined. Had we limited it to, destruction of Iranian ballistic missile facilities, we could have had a fake victory, meaning we could show photographs of how we blew up all the buildings, and the Iranians would go, yep, start pouring concrete, and when it cures, bring the stuff out of the hills and start building missiles again because none of the high-value production equipment is being destroyed. But we're just fooling ourselves. I mean, literally, we've done this before. We have smart people. I mean, I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I have an experience base that tells me I know what the truth is. And there are other people out there like me who have experience and they know what the truth is. They know what reality is. And they know that this president is lying. But if they're still in uniform with stars on their shoulder, and they're executing these orders, then they have failed in their responsibility because their duty is to tell the truth to the president and say, Mr. President, we can't we literally can't accomplish this mission with the resources given. And if the president tells you to go forward, then you ask for the orders in writing, and you voice your complaint in writing, and you demand a response in writing as part of the record, so that when you're dead and they're starting to do the analysis of what happened, they say, oh yeah, Ritter said we can't do this, that we're going to die, and this is the president ordered him to do it anyways. Okay, fine. But these guys are sitting there cheerleading for this president, for this orange-faced buffoon. And that's not the job of the military. It's not to lead. It's to accomplish the mission. To accomplish the mission, you have to be honest. And the fact that the president's now saying that this war is going to go on for months and that we have to get resources elsewhere means we already lost the war, because we're literally changing the plan on day 3. So,
Scott Ritter, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure talking with you. I know you're extremely busy, so I will leave it there. I think that's a perfect place to wrap up. And I can only say that I hope that the U.S. finally learns its lesson and, in either by force or whatever, decides to leave the Middle East. I think that's the only way that we can actually have stability there. So I thank you a lot. I agree. Do you have anywhere that you want to direct people to follow along with you? I'm sure, I think everyone knows where to follow you along with, but if you do.
Well, I would just ask, go to scottritter.com. That takes you to my Substack page, and on there you'll find all the things that I write, all the videos I do. I'm trying to do some important things. One project that's related to exactly what we're talking about, what the role of Islam could be in conflict resolution. I'll be doing this in March. If people want to help, I'm an independent journalist. I pay for everything on my own. And what I mean by that is I pay using donations that people provide. And if you want to help, there's a donation link on that page, and it would be greatly appreciated, because when I first conceived the idea, we were dealing about theoretics. But today we have an actual war that is has the potential of taking the world economy down. And we're going to have to heal from this war, and we're going to have to heal in a way that reflects the reality of Islam. So suddenly this project became very real, very fast. And any support people can provide would be greatly appreciated.
Well, I can't wait to learn more about that. It's going to be very interesting. Scott Ritter, thank you so much. We're going to have your...
When you finally hear about it, you'll know why I can't talk about it right now. So
when we finally hear about it, we'll know why you can't mention it right now? Is that what you said? Okay, yeah. Well, all the more reason then. Very good. Everyone will have Scott's link in the description. We're going to re-upload this as well, and I cannot recommend enough. Go follow along. Go support Scott. And if you have the means, of course, support him. So, Scott Ritter, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Jackson.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.